What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Bulls Latest. Your host, Matt Johnson here. Going to kick off this show by recapping a huge win for the Chicago Bulls in a 130-127 win against the Denver Nuggets on the road as a 14.5-point underdog. This has to be arguably the Bulls' most impressive win of this young season. With the struggles that they've had and the losing streak that they've kind of been on, they popped the schneid with a win against one of the league's better teams, one of the league's best teams. The Nuggets were scorching hot, not to mention coming into this one. Bulls were also without Coby White. He had a rest day following that double OT loss to Utah. Tre Jones was also a key absence for Chicago in this one. So other guys stepped up as they've done all year. The bench played a huge role. Ayo Dosunmu played with the minutes restriction. That did not stop him from having a monster night. He had some hamstring tightness. That was the reason for his minutes restriction being put on. The Bulls, looking at this one, came out and played a heck of a first quarter in Denver. They go 7 of 14 from deep and get good minutes from Pat Williams, Dalen Terry, and Javon Carter. They took an early first quarter lead and really jumped out on top in Denver. And that's impressive coming off a double OT defeat like they had just a night ago in Utah. So that was impressive on their part. Billy Donovan really had those guys going. Jump from the jump, talking about the bench. The Bulls picked up an early 20-4 lead in bench points right from the get-go. So definitely something the Bulls have been doing all year long, and they continued in this one, and it really, showed in their success against a very, very strong Denver Nuggets team. Looking at the box score, one player who visibly struggled the entire night was Vooch. He started 0 of 6 from the field. He came over, hit the scorers table. He was very, very frustrated. It was visible. As a fan watching this one, starting 0 of 6 and then missing that go-ahead 3, or I believe the game-tying 3 in Utah just a night ago, that was tough for him, a tough stretch. So some frustration starting to set in for Vooch. He has that high standard for himself. He wants to be a leader of this ball club and wants to be able to come through in big moments for these guys. So again, though, he continued to be resilient. He would hit a monster 3 down the stretch for the Bulls as they went up one. They were up 1 late, and that shot gave them a 4-point lead and ultimately iced the game against Denver, putting the game away. What's awesome is it was almost the identical shot he took in double OT Monday night against Utah that he missed. He came back and drilled this one, so that was exciting from a Bulls perspective. Never stop taking the shots. He continues to be resilient and continues to want to be the guy who comes through for this team. To come back and drill that shot is awesome. I thought that was really cool for the Chicago Bulls team. The Bulls did build up a big 18-point lead pretty early before half. It vanished very quickly. The second quarter and going into halftime was really a crazy stretch there. The Nuggets would end up going to halftime with a 64-63 lead. They went on a huge run. It was a game of runs really all game long. This was a huge clutch win for Chicago nonetheless. They started the year 4-0 in clutch games, and then they dropped 4 straight since. So getting back on track in these clutch games, winning these tight ones is going to be important as we move throughout the season, and then getting one against one of the league's perennial teams in the Denver Nuggets, that makes it even more awesome in my eyes. So it's a great get-right spot. It came, at a great time to get this one. The Bulls snap a 5-game skid, are now 7-6 on this young season. The Bulls also end the Nuggets' 7-game win streak and hand them their first home loss of the season. The Nuggets had been undefeated at home coming into this contest. Looking at some other box score notes, Josh Giddey finished with 21 points and 14 rebounds, another double-double. He was also visibly frustrated at times, with some foul calls and some out-of-bounds calls that were made late in the game. Really wanting to get this one. You could see how bad Giddey wanted to win this game. Ayo off the bench. He had that minutes restriction, did not stop him from having a monster night. It wasn't much needed, too. He continues to come through for this ball club. He had 21 points and 5 assists off the bench. The Bulls as a whole, though, 68 bench points for Chicago. Another monster performance overall from the bench guys. Jokic with another triple-double. It really was crazy watching him for the first time all year, really, for me, watching him fully. This guy is just a complete monster. He's so hard to game plan for, and you saw that, which is awesome that the Bulls were able to come out on top in this one. A guy who provided more monster minutes, and Billy Donovan praised him post-game, Jevon Carter. Billy Donovan stating post-game, quote, "This guy's work ethic is unbelievable. He's one of the hardest working people I've ever seen." Coming from a Hall of Famer and Billy Donovan, that's quite the praise. I think it's awesome what Jevon Carter has provided to this team. Now, if you guys remember, I'm probably going to take some heat for this, but back in May, I thought he was on his way out. I didn't really see a role for him on this team. Boy, has he had a role, especially with the injuries early on for this team, really filling the void when necessary. Jevon responded to those comments from Billy Donovan, stating, quote, "That means a lot coming from a Hall of Fame coach. That's my guy. I love Billy." So clearly he loves playing for Chicago and for Billy Donovan, more importantly. Jevon Carter had 18 points in 15 minutes off the bench, was 5 of 10 from 3. So he had that 3-ball going early on, and it really does pack a punch and provide an impact for this Bulls team needing that punch from somebody off the bench, and he provided that noticeable spark on a night where Chicago really needed it, coming in on that losing streak and the second of a back-to-back in a heartbreaking loss to Utah. So short ago. I think that was an awesome performance from Jevon Carter. Wanted to shed some light on that. And then just the bench scoring overall for Chicago. The Bulls bench has been coming up huge all season thus far. That's been a consistent story in my show. They are now second in the NBA in bench scoring at 48.1 points per game. Only the Memphis Grizzlies sit above them at 48.9 points per game as a bench unit. Back in camp, I honed in on the idea of playing as a unit with no clear-cut superstar or stars on this team. And the Bulls have really seemed to lean into that through the early part of the year. Beating a perennial team like Denver on the road in a second night of a back-to-back wouldn't be doable, in my opinion, with this roster and the way it stands without a bench mob. And it surely showed up in guys like Jevon Carter and Ayo Dosunmu really providing that impact for Chicago on a night where Vooch, although he hit that huge shot late, struggled most of the night. So when your stars and your starters are struggling, the bench can pick up the slack, and they certainly did that in this contest as the less superior squad in Denver. So just an awesome win. Really fired me up. I was not expecting them to win this ball game. I'm sure a lot of Bulls fans were not either, going into this one on a back-to-back, playing one of the NBA's hottest teams at the moment. So looking ahead here, we have the Portland Blazers. Now, the Bulls will get an off day on Tuesday. Guys will get treatment and get right. I think they're going to fly to Portland right there. They did fly to Portland right after the Denver game. So they'll be in Portland. They'll have a pretty much a full off day, no practice. They'll get right, get guys healthy or healthier. Hopefully they'll have a better group in terms of health going into this Portland game. And we'll take a look at that as I preview the game for you guys in the next show here. Although Portland has lost 4 of 5, they are now 6 and 7 on the year. They've been playing tough basketball, lots of close losses, so they're certainly going to be tested. Obviously, that huge scandal going on with their head coach being gone, Chauncey Billups, that was enough of a distraction from the jump for Portland. But they've been playing really tough basketball, so it's going to be a test. A great spot, though, for the Bulls to build off a huge win in Denver. Looking at this trip as a whole, this short West Coast trip, before the week started, the goal was to grab 2 wins. I anticipated them winning that game in Utah and then obviously beating Portland. Obviously, that heartbreaker in Utah didn't go as planned, and I didn't expect to win this one in Denver. So, now 1-1 on this short trip kind of flipped the way things I thought would go. Here we are, go grab a winnable game in Portland, and it's a very successful short West Coast trip there before you head back to United Center for an NBA Cup night against the Miami Heat in front of a ruckus home crowd. So excited to get this thing going still. Want to get the Bulls stacking wins again. It's certainly an encouraging sign to win a ball game like this against a very, very tough Denver Nuggets team. It shows some resiliency from this group early on from a lot of these Bulls guys, and Billy Donovan really has these guys fighting. I'm very encouraged. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of this monster win. Does it excite you guys? It certainly got me fired up. So thanks again for joining me, guys, and we will see you guys next time here.